Hello and welcome to Bismarck Insights. I'm Mayor Mike Schmitz, and today I have with me from the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association, and he also represents his own company, Andrew Meldahl. Welcome. Andrew, please just give a little introduction as to what the Home Builders Association is and also to yourself so people kind of get an understanding of who you are and what you do and,
Sure.
and what the home builders do.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I am Andrew with Pinnacle Homes, a custom home building company, and also this year's president of our Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association. The association is a professional trade organization that supports the construction industry. We offer insight, resources, networking. We're a voice on the local, state, and we also tie into our national level through the construction industry. So we're just a small part and a big part.
And what's your background? How did you get into the business of building homes?
So it's kind of by fluke. In my younger years, I was in the fork of the road of life of what to do. So I was in the middle of farming, and then I was buying properties where I would, rehab them and then sell them. So one day I thought I got more into that, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to start building homes. So I just one day went all for it.
Okay.
And here I am.
And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into what does the Bismarck-Mandan Home Owners Association do? What are some, maybe even some of the things and projects that people might see that are more public view? Because as a trade organization, I mean, I know how that works in my business, kind of always behind the scenes and people don't see us, but there are a couple things that the association does do that are kind of public.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we do a lot of stuff. We support a lot of students through scholarships that are getting into the trades, so we're pretty active in that through the BSC. There's a USA Skills in Bismarck that's where younger students will get into the trades through electrical, plumbing, carpentry, that kind of stuff. So we're pretty involved into that. Our association also is fairly new. It has PWB, which is Professional Women in Building, so we support the women in the building industries to get involved. So.
Sure. And those are all things that are not very public necessarily, but very important.
Yeah, very important.
As we know, just in general business and the climate here in Bismarck, and quite honestly across the country, making those trade professions knowledgeable to the younger staff or younger individuals coming into the workforce, and knowing what they can do and bring is extremely important because we're short in those trades.
Very true, yep.
And so the association is made up of more than just home builders. There's the underlying...
Anything related to home building associations, if it's a salesman on a product or a countertop salesman or a realtor, banker, anyone in financing can be a part of it.
Okay. And as we have gone through some uncertainty over the last, it's been cyclical. I guess it was really good for a while. Maybe we would say it was really good. I don't know. Sometimes that causes trouble too, but interest rates have certainly caused some uncertainty as to how that affects our industry. What are you seeing in Bismarck and Mandan, how those interest rates are maybe affecting the industry? And
yeah, we definitely saw a pause or a slowdown in the market in 23. I believe our building permits in 23, we were around 275, which was lower than average, and we were expecting that. So when you go from 2% interest to 5, 6, I think we even hit 7%. That it shook a lot of people, and it's a big step in a cost of a home when you do that jump in basis. So we did see a tremendous slowdown in 24. We did see an uptick in building permits. We were, I believe, up to 350. So I think the shock is kind of settling in with people. So we're getting used to that 2-3% interest rate is probably not a normal. So if you look over it historically, I think over a 30-year average, interest rates are somewhere around 6 to 7%. So, I mean, we're not terrible, but it is a big effect on the cost of a home too. So.
It changed it because people were probably able to afford more than maybe they would have normally been able to afford, or maybe than they should have afforded even. It's hard to say that. But,
you could get a lot more of a house when the interest rates were lower.
Yeah, and you're right, because I remember many years when 7% would have sounded great.
Yeah.
When I first came out of
When
college.
they're 18%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think you're right. The normalized rate is going to be most likely between 5 and 7 somewhere it lands.
Yeah, I think when we get to that, it's going to be kind of back to normal.
So, but that's not the only thing that's affected the building of homes or construction in general is through all some of this uncertain times or changes, especially after the pandemic. What other pressures are we seeing that are affecting home prices?
Well, it's definitely the cost of homes is the number one concern. I mean, we built houses, let's just for easy numbers, say 10 years ago, where if we were to build that same home today, we would probably be double the cost. And that's everything from the cost of land to the finishing touches on the home. Is everyone has their increases over the years, and unfortunately in home building, there's many parts that are that take up building a house. So when everyone has an increase, the cost goes up. So,
in talking about that, and this has certainly been a concern locally, I think it's a concern nationally. How do we create with those environments accessible or affordable or whatever term we want to put about that moderately priced housing for individuals? What are the things that the Home Builders Association is talking about that might be helpful, and including talking with our city in the planning and zoning and permitting process?
It's a question I wish we knew we had the answer to, because we buy a lot of products that are not, you know, your windows and siding and all the stuff that goes into a home isn't so much local. You know, here our local cost would be, you know, cost of land or the labor. North Dakota has always been in a separate bubble from what's going on in the rest of the world. But if we can, you know, the Home Builders Association through to the national level, we advocate for, you know, affordable housing. You know, there was an energy code that was trying to be passed last year that I think we figure would have added $30,000 to a home, which it was a 90-year return on investment to get that cost back. So it didn't really make sense. So the Home Builders Association through the NAHB advocated to, you know, maybe try different options for that. So yeah, we got to try find ways just to keep costs down so homes can be affordable.
So are we seeing where the demand for the size of the home is changing to help that?
Homes are getting bigger. They just keep getting bigger as you know, families are getting bigger, and just the expectations of homes. So the trick is to find ways to build homes where you're not cutting corners or, you know, making things cheap, but, you know, maybe find a way to use alternate resources or products, that kind of stuff, to help keep costs down.
So we're not really seeing a shrinking of the footprint per se
Not
of the
much
building, which maybe would help.
Yeah,
We may
see some. You know, we'll see maybe an unfinished basement. They'll buy a house with a basement, and a lot of people, it's very common to say, well, we'll finish the basement later when we're, you know, a little bit more comfortable or on our own. So there's items like that, but patio homes are becoming very popular. So instead of that 2 levels, just more on 1 level. So different types of homes are being built. Yeah.
Does the group of builders and the trades in the community see that maybe we could look at smaller lot sizes with that? I mean, but with larger homes that may or may not work. The reason I asked this question is we're right in the middle of a code rewrite, and we're trying to figure out what do we do to help with that.
You know, I wish that's a pretty in-depth question, which, you know, I wish I had answers to. Smaller lot sizes don't always work, because a lot of homes, you know, won't fit on it, or you know, so you got kind of restricted to that. There's a lot that goes into a development, you know, from infrastructure, and of course their costs go up and stuff too. So on a developer side, I think they really try to fight how to keep those costs down and keep things affordable. So it's an ongoing battle.
Yep, no question about it. And there's obviously been a lot of talk about, you know, increased density, and that's where lot sizes come in, and maybe how do we get to that? And as part of our code rewrite, I think we're looking at, you know, what are some setbacks that can maybe help enhance that density opportunity, I suppose. So what are you seeing as generationally different that the expectations are with new home construction? 'Cause that's the business you're in, or maybe you're doing remodels too, but versus what maybe was done, you know, back in the 80s.
Expectations on a new home are very high. You know, it's a trade where people expect perfection. because I always say a new home is someone's probably largest investment in their lifetime. You know, so rightfully so, they expect that the home is built to perfection, which, you know, doesn't always happen. We live in North Dakota, where it has some pretty wild climates like we see now. So, you know, you may see some land shifting, stuff like that with our freeze. So houses, like I said, are getting bigger families. So, you know, in the 80s, previously you would see just maybe a single stall garage or a double.
Yeah.
Well, now we're building 4-stall garages and stuff. So to try to accommodate that into the home and keep it under budget it gets to be challenging.
So I'm going to ask a question that's probably not even in your notes, but I think you'll be able to answer it. If you're going to look at the cost of square foot finishing on a home, where do we find the most effective cost in stories? Is it because we already have to have foundation maybe?
Yep. That is one of our most favorite yet hated questions in the building is what's a cost per square foot, because it can vary so much. It depends on, especially if you're custom, you know, you can put all the bells and whistles into it. Of course, that that adds cost to it. There used to be that old saying, it's cheaper to build up than out. I don't find that always true, because, you know, you get a 2-story, you got different levels and, you know, more siding, more product, more labor, that kind of stuff. So it really comes down to kind of the finishes of a home. You know, you need certain material and cost to build the structure and everything, and then, okay, how do we make it look good? And a neat house is where the cost comes into. So,
Sure.
I mean, we can get the cost of square foot building into the 200 plus, you know, lately. So it gets up there.
The finishes certainly add to that.
Yep.
What would be your thoughts on, you know, like a standard, if somebody didn't put all the extra bells and whistles in, can we get under $200 a square foot?
You can. You know, a lot comes with a lot too. We're funding lots. We used to purchase lots for probably half of what we're purchasing them now. So, you know, that takes up a good chunk of cost in the home. There's sometimes, if, you know, I used to joke if 500,000 used to be the big house in town that you'd go check out. Now we're kind of seeing that as a average cost for a starter home. So I didn't think we'd see those days in building, but we are approaching that.
Yeah. So what are the challenges that the building industry is facing?
The cost, the rising cost. I was in Washington, D.C. last summer for our NAHB legislative convention, and they have an estimated 1.4 million homes are needed across the United States, which means that drives the cost up of everything, you know, our goods and products that go into it. So when you have that kind of demand throughout the United States, that's just going to keep the cost up as well too. So the cost is, you know, it's always been the elephant in the room. How do we keep it down? And, you know, unfortunately, every year we build, we look back, we can't touch that price. So for as long as I've been in my career, it just seems every year we're getting a little bit more expensive every year. So how do we stop that?
So in addition to cost of the material, labor can be
labor is the other.
Yep. And also finding the labor.
Yes, labor is not such a critical thing, but it is going to be. You know, we're seeing a lot of people in the trades who are going to be approaching that retirement age, or let's say the end of their life expectancy, in, you know, being able to work, and trying to get the younger generations into the trades is probably a challenge. You know, if I could get in front of a high school, graduating school, and tell them the benefits and the opportunities that the trades are presenting, you know, to make a good living, there are some very good jobs out there that can be had. So if we can get our younger students to get more involved into the trades, there's a lot of opportunity for jobs.
Sure. And as we need to look forward, need to encourage that, I think, you know, trades are certainly significant. It also probably helps with the cost of education, because you might be able to get into a trade, make a decent living, and not incur the student loan debt.
There's a lot of trades that would like to take the student on and just teach them themselves, or they will pay for their school if they you know, commit to their company. So there's a lot of good companies that are doing that kind of thing too. So yeah, I kind of joke, if you know, if you're not going into a specialized 4-year degree, look at the trades. There's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, there certainly is. Looking locally at our market, and as you talked about 23 and 24 a little bit, what are you seeing into 25?
25, we have a lot of optimism. We expected that 23 was going to be kind of the hit the brakes year. 24 was going to kind of slowly get back into it. So we're, hopefully I'm thinking 25 is when people are just going to start, people are moving to town, their families are growing, they need big houses, different houses. So there's a lot of optimism that 25 and moving forward is going to be a good year. We are statistically pretty low on inventory right now, so there's not a lot out there to buy. A lot of people that come and see us, they'll start off by just say, we were shopping for houses, couldn't find anything we like, so we decided to build. So we are starting to see a lot of activity.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. I mentioned it earlier, we're in the midst of rewriting our building code, essentially our land development code. What are things from the Home Builders Association that you would like to see incorporated in that? And hopefully my staff is listening to this, or we'll make sure the message gets back.
Yeah, there's the Home Builders Association does a great job working hand in hand with the city, inspectors and the planning and zoning. We have groups, government affairs, so we will attend meetings with certain staff at the city level, so we can say, okay, this code that you're trying to enable isn't really cost effective. We have great conversations with some of the city staff who wants to present a code, and we say, okay, by doing that, you're going to add X amount of dollars to a house, and they may go, oh, okay, that makes sense. So so we work hand in hand to try to keep those costs down, because it may be a good idea, on an office, but on the job site, it does maybe add a lot of extra costs. So it's important that we work together, which has been very successful so far.
And I know that there's members from your organization participating in the steering committee on that. But that's not the only code we have to worry about. And some of the code that you've referenced earlier on, whether it's heating and
the energy codes,
heating, electrical, plumbing, those come down not necessarily directly through the city. We adopt. And some things we really can't change. But are there things that, because I believe we have an adoption of a code coming through probably again shortly, and I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but are there things that we should be looking at and that citizens should be aware of too, that are just coming that we have to prepare for?
There's a lot of, engineering codes that, are making houses more safer. So, with engineering codes, there may be some engineering fees that come with, so working to try not get too crazy on those has been very helpful. So a lot of the guys at the city level have been working with us to make sure that it doesn't get too out of hand. We recently, a percentage of a home on a lot, we kind of increased that so we could have the house on that lot and not have to cut it down. So that helped, went from 30% to 40%. So that was a good change that we did together. So, but yeah, basically the city development is important. Without city developing, we don't have homes to build. So to make sure that we work hand in hand has been pretty beneficial. Yeah,
and that lot coverage issue was certainly a restricting factor.
It was,
as the homes got larger and trying to keep the lot sizes.
Lot sizes were getting lower, and it was the last few years I noticed that, popping up, we get the notification, hey, it's a little bit too big, so, then you got to go to the homeowner and say, hey, we got to make your house smaller. So, people want what they want in a house, so to tell them that you can't do that is sometimes frustrating for the homeowners, but we work through it.
Sure. Yeah. And conversely to that, one of the things that happens when you increase the lot coverage is we have to make sure we have appropriate stormwater drainage, which may have an unintended consequence.
Yeah, it's not just saying we're doing it just because. I mean, there's a method to the madness with the stormwater prevention and all that stuff. So
So what do you see in the industry coming forward? What kind of things are you seeing if you look out 2, 3, 4, 5 years? 5 years is a long time. It's hard to see what's coming, but what kind of changes do you see coming?
Oh boy, your style is always changing. The style, the decor of the home. the energy efficiency of a home. The smart homes are becoming quite popular. The things you can do with a house, is through the automated technology is light years even from 10 years ago. I always kind of joke, and it may not be in my lifetime, but there may be a point where you walk into a house and there's no light switches. You're just talking to, hey, turn on the lights, or that kind of. So, look at our houses now compared to 50 years ago. How far we've come in, energy efficiency and what's all in houses. So it's fastly evolving. I always say you got to adapt in this business to stay with it. So
Sure.
You can't be stuck in your old ways, or you're going to be kind of behind the 8 ball.
Yep. So one of the things I find great, I think, in the Bismarck-Mandan area versus maybe a metropolitan area, we have a lot of home builders.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have these developments that are entirely controlled by a builder,
Right, yep.
and you have 5 models to choose from.
Yep.
Is that unusual, or is that kind of normal for cities our size?
It's normal. When you get into the bigger cities, you get into these developments that are controlled by a big corporate builder, and you get to choose from this floor plan or this floor plan. You get a handful of selections that get to go in the house, and that's it. Where in our area, people have the ability to build what they want, not what some other building company is telling them they get the options for. So I think with this area, yeah, we're very open, very build it as you please. There's not strict homeowners association like you'll see in a big city where you got 4 colors of a house to paint. So that can be a challenge living in some of those areas. So it's a lot of freedom here.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spin it away a little bit, maybe a little more focused on just, I'll pick on your company, not because I'm picking on it, but as an example, if someone in the community is looking to build a home, and what should their first step be if they want to talk to you or any home builder? What should they be doing?
The first step is just reach out to a local home builder. It's always important that you have a good relationship. You feel comfortable with them, because it is a 6 month to a year relationship with that builder, because it takes a while. So find that builder that you feel comfortable with, who could build the style of home. There's many great builders in this town that have different styles of their build. So just reach out to whatever that you think fits your style, and you have a good connection with, and see how it goes from there.
And then what are their steps? Let's walk somebody through that process, because this is important, because I don't think everybody understands it.
Yeah,
I've been through it. So.
It is stressful. There's a lot of things that go into home building, but if someone comes to us, we establish, kind of an introductory meeting. We get to know them, see what they're looking for. I always tell our clients that the hardest part of building a home isn't the home building process. It is finding your lot, establishing your budget through a floor plan that you want, and then that's a process that takes, it can take about a month, if you're going through the motions. So once we get past that with our clients, and then we go right into building. So, which we like to say is the fun part of building. But going around trying to find an affordable lot or an area where you want to be, part of town. We've got so many options. North Bismarck, Northeast, South Bismarck. We've got a lot of good developers that are giving options for us. So once you find that, and then we just kind of go through the motions of bidding out the home, so a customer knows what they're getting into for a cost, and then once they're good with that, then we go from there.
So do you find most homeowners expect a fixed price before they commit? Or are you finding, I don't know what the ratio is, but there are obviously some, I'll call more custom homes where it's cost plus type.
Yeah, we try to make sure it's a fixed cost, because there's nothing worse at the end, and then you go, okay, you're over X amount of dollars, and it just puts a financial strain on them. So with Pinnacle Homes, we like to do a very extensive bidding process and questionnaires. We'll ask our clients everything that they want in a house, right down to the faucets, what type, so we can bid that out for them and go, okay, based on your request for your home, this is what we're coming in at. Yep. So,
and I know from own experience, my advice to people is, if you do it that process, then watch for your change orders, because change orders are difficult for the contractor as well as
Oh, for
the
sure.
homeowner.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable for both, but you know, you're not going to go into building a home and not change something because you go to the store and you may fall in love with that fancy flooring that you just got to have, which was a little bit more. So, yeah, if you could stay on top of your change orders, and in today's age, you know, from when I first started, we have technology now where we can use apps that track all this kind of stuff. Where before it was just, okay, that'll be X amount, and then the homeowner in their head they're thinking they're at this price, and then at the end, over 6 months later, they're probably double that because they just lost track of everything. So we do have the technology now to track that, and every time a client adds a change order, it does a real-time update on their price. So
well, that'd be very helpful.
it is very helpful. So they can go, oh, we're spending a little too much. We know we're at
Back
our
off.
limit. We're
Yeah.
back off. So
Yeah. So we're getting close to the end of our time, but I do want to promote a couple things just because I think it helps people learn who maybe that builder should be. And we have a couple of Pray to Home opportunities that the homeowners or the Builders Association puts on.
Yes. Yep.
Is that a good way, do you think, for people to get a feel for what a builder does? And
The Pray to Homes is probably one of our best tools we have for advertising. In fact, it's probably our only advertising we do at our company because people can come into the house, they can see that style. 9 out of 10 people are visionary. They need to see instead of just imagine what it looks like. So if they can walk through the home and see every other builder's style and quality, that's huge. So
and they get an opportunity to visit
visit
with the owner of the builder.
Get in touch, and I would say a majority of our clients have come through a Pray to Home. So yeah, if you haven't done it yet, I would suggest to go out. Even if you're not looking for homes, it's a fun family just to get out and see what's out there.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we give a little bit of insight into what the Home Builders Association does and just how the whole process works.
Yeah, and if you're in the building industry and you don't need to be a builder, you can just be, like I said, a realtor, a banker, anything tied to the association, you can join and be a member.
Okay.
So,
well, thank you again.
Thank you.